So mahalo all of you for coming, and I will let Susan and Kiakona take it away.
Okay. Hello, aloha kako, mahalo, kopono no aku mayo. So please forgive me as I'm only going to work because I really appreciate you folks hosting us here at our Green Party convention. And just to clarify, this statement is a statement of solidarity, different from a statement of sovereignty. So I just want to make that real clear, because it presumes that we already have sovereignty. But what we do not have collectively is solidarity. So this statement, as small as this may seem, is really a big deal, because for the first time, I believe, we have something that actually is inclusive and opens the space up for us to actually start the process of solidarity. Because sovereignty is in us already. We already have it. It's just we need to have that critical mass. So I do hope that everyone reads the statement carefully. You will not see the word sovereignty in the statement.
I'm going to let you guys pass this around.
Knowing how polarizing this topic can be for a lot of people, we also wanted to make sure it's as inclusive, but also sets the groundwork and very clear about who we are as individuals, who you may be as an individual, who we are collectively, and where we stand. This is something that I think no other political party as a whole has come to that collective agreement, being that we're all of diverse ideas and values and perspectives, and as dynamic and challenging as that may be, at least there's some ground that we can actually stand on and get some traction. Okay? So, makolelo Howden, makolelo Hawaiʻi.
Okay, me first?
Yeah.
We, the Green Party, give me the mic drop.
Okay, aloha. We, the Green Party of Hawaiʻi, publicly affirm and recognize that the Hawaiian people never ceded their national sovereignty. And have been under illegal foreign occupation since the overthrow of Hawaii's last sovereign, Queen Liliuokalani, in 1893. Furthermore, we commit to the reconciliation in compliance with the Apology Law of 1993, Public Law 103-150. And restoration under international law and the laws of war. We see this as our North Star. This is our direction. This gives us a purpose. This gives us something to shoot for and to open up our horizons, bringing in more people. Hawaii, Green Party is we're pathologically anti-authoritarian. No one can tell us what to do. We are bottom up. We are the grass, we are the roots, we are the cracks in the mountain where water goes, seeds fall in, and things grow out of. So with this growth, we hope that this statement will again, be our North Star.
And now for what I assume most of you are here for is our panel being moderated by Paele Kiakona, our candidate for House District 14. And I'll let him introduce Councilmember Rawlins-Fernandez and Kekai.
Hello, all everybody for coming. Paele, yes, of course, candidate for West Maui. I'll save the statements and all the other stuff for later on today. But sorry about that. But yes, we have the opportunity and great honor to be in the presence of these two panels back here, Kekai and Keani Rawlins-Fernandez. Can you give them a hand, please, as they make their way to the front?
Beautiful lace.
Yes, Mahalo, Jackie.
Oh, Jackie, wow.
All right, so we'll just do a brief introduction of each person. I'll start off with Keani, some opening statements, and hand it over to her. So, Councilmember Keani Rawlins-Fernandez is a Hawaiʻi of Molokai and mother of two teenagers who drive her passion for creating a world better than she found it. She was raised by a family intimately connected to Aina, which instilled in her the importance of reciprocal relationships between people and place. She's a graduate of Molokai High School and her bachelor's degree in public relations, a master's degree in business administration, and a law degree with certificates specializing in environmental law and Native Hawaiian law. She is honored to serve the people and Aina of Molokai, Maui, Lanai, and Ho'olawe, and is working to ensure that our community voice is centered in decision making, that our Aina is protected, and that our people are cared for. That's Keani. Would you like to give a brief introduction? And to my right, we have Kekai, Keahi. Born and raised in Lahaina. I found some statistics online that said 9th generation, but that's not true. We've been here since the very first people of this place.
First canoe.
The first canoe. First canoe. Kekai is a Native Hawaiian kalo farmer, community organizer, and one of the most influential water.
That's a kuleana that I have the pleasure to inherit. And that type of kuleana is a lifelong kuleana, and I think for me, fighting for those who came before us and then those that will come after us it brings me such joy that I'm willing to serve in whatever spaces I need to be in, however awkward it is. So that we, continue to have the Molokai that we have today, and to also try to, continue to help our ohana on the other islands, to protect what makes Maui special, Hawaii Island, Oahu, Lanai, Kauai, Ho'olawe. I think, when the kahea goes out, I sometimes, there, and that's what ohana is. And so I think, doing that work, and then just being part of that ohana, that kuleana of having the right to be here, but the responsibility of taking care of this place at home.
You gotta repeat the question.
And Kalamai, obviously, I'm never usually moderating a panel, so I'm a super amateur at this. I should have started with the title of what we're going to be speaking to today. is the rights of Aina in Maui County's law. So, now you guys, yes. Again, amateur. The question was, you both have been extremely influential advocates for Aina and community. Where does that drive come from? And what life experiences or upbringing shaped you into the leader that you are today?
I think just born and raised, yeah. Like our family, we used to have our thorough patches up in Kanaha Valley. We born in the ocean. We pretty much born in the ocean. So we was from Mauku to Makai, we was all over this place. I shared with you one story right after the fire. I mean, like right after the fire. Like my father's backyard was still burning. He was cleaning up, and then just a couple of days later, he started sewing on Tronet. I was looking like, with all these things going on, he said, sewing on Tronet. So I was like, oh, what you doing? He's like, oh, you won't have to eat. I was like, in a real simplistic way, it's like, with everything gone, he went back to what he was taught when he was a young boy, from his papa to his, back to the first canoe, right? And he would fall back on that. And he wasn't even scared. Because what he knew, when reinforced, that he gonna be okay. And when I seen that, I was like, man, the stuff that we learn, that we take for granted, unknowingly, will support you and carry you through the hard times. If you pay attention, and took something like this for wake me up, for him was like real simple. And so, you know, prior to that, growing up in Lahaina and growing up in where we was, I never realized growing up that there was times in our life growing up that was real hard. I remember we was collecting stamps for food, and my mother made them like it was on game. I collect stamps and you lick them and put them on them. And I was like, oh, it was for fun, right? Nobody told me I was poor, right? And then, you know, we was always my father down the beach. We say fishing, so we always had food, so we never knew we was poor. Until later on, in one Western concept, in terms of not having one monetary income, we was poor. But we was actually rich in a way where being poor, growing up, we never knew we was. So everything was fine, everything was good. But over the years, as you get older, you know, you're supposed to get wiser, right? You accumulate all this knowledge, but if you don't use them and you don't know how to use them, all you got is knowledge, but you're not wise. So, I think, looking back with my grandfather and grandmother guys, when we was in the turf patch, they would put us on a surf, they broke the skeg off the surfboard. My father don't let me surf. My younger brother surf, he said surf waste time. If you're going to ocean, you better bring back something for eating. So I wasn't allowed to surf. But we had the surfboard in the turf patch with his father. And they would big the turf patch, so we paddle away to the middle, and like my grandmother and grandfather guys would load the tarp on top of the surfboard, and we would paddle back. And then again, I look at that, and we gotta haul them off on the Kuauna, and then we go back and then we pick up some more. And so the idea of what we was doing never really hit us, because the way we was living was fun, right? Never know we was poor, but we still was eating every day. So you fast forward to nowadays, real hard to do that kind of stuff, because we notice we never have the water in the lo'i, we never have water in the streams. A lot of the things that, you know, we were told about with the streams and the nearshore estuaries was just stories that we heard. So we never really grasp and understand that part until when we say, you know what, let's, on a selfish reason, let's go back into home and let's reopen the tar patches. But never had water. And so the very first battle, which was kind of ironic, the very first battle that we had to go to war with 20 years ago was Kamehameha schools. They owned the intake. They gave the lease out to Pioneer Mill. Pioneer Mill was the ones that took all the waters from Kohoma and other streams. And so we had to go to war with them. And it was hard because they were scratching the back of West Maui Land Company, because Westmoreland Company wanted water from their lands, and Kamehameha Schools for Kuia wanted water from their land, so they're scratching each other's back. So you get these two big, huge entities, and we're the small guys in the middle. We thought we never have a chance. In fact, Archie Kalepa always said, like, when we first went on this path, he's like, no way, we're gonna lose. And we went and we started gaining traction. We started gaining people in the community joining the wagon. And for the first time after 130 years, we finally got to see water back in the stream. It took 7 years for the water to reach the ocean. They had to saturate the stream. So you don't just let go of the water and it reached, no, it took 7 years to finally have a good enough flow to where the water's clear, cool, and vibrant enough to sustain life. So on that note, being unselfish kind of idea that we wanted to do, we started recognizing, hey, where is this fish coming from in the river? Wasn't ever there, was on stream dry for 130 years. And so it was like, okay, we gotta find out more. This is beyond just restoring water and beyond the terrestrial. There's things happening that we never think was gonna happen. That we go down to Mahalo, the Muliwai, and we see these fishes that never used to be there either. And maybe I can get a person, I'll talk about that now. Down in Mahalo, that's where we from. We born and raised over there. And my father died the whole place. He's like, so one day we diving, and he told me, hey, you see that school in Inouye? Big school in Inouye. I said, yeah. He told me, something wrong. Because when I was young and when he was growing up there, we never had a school in Inouye because the river was never there. And those fish like to congregate around where freshwater springs come out. And so I had a lot of these fish that wasn't, and so my father thought the world was ending. Seriously, it's like something wrong. And so I asked him, why, you never had when he was young? He said, no. So what about Papa? What Papa used to say? And he said to think back. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember Papa talking about before they used to catch in Inouye. So, and I like to talk about the sliding scale where each generation see the environment around them differently from their predecessors, right? So, what my grandfather saw and what my father saw is two different things, and yet we take that as that's how it was, right? Even though in my father's time we seen a lot less, in my time I seen a lot less also compared to my father, and yet I say, but this is natural. This is how it's supposed to be. So you recognize the losses, but what happened was once we restored the streams and this aquatic life started coming back, we flipped the scale on its head. And now we're moving in a different direction. Well, we're seeing things that was never there before, but actually not there in our time, but was there in my grandfather's time. So that's when the thing supercharged and reaffirmed what we was doing was right. And then we went for the whole West Maui, the stream restoration, the water protections, and it wasn't just because of those things. There's a lot of things that we started to realize that when you started learning and going through the data and the studies, you have to realize, like, the West Side, we're such in bad shape that if we don't change what we're going to do now, the way we utilize water, it's going to be too late. Because our aquifers is, right now, at this point in time, this close to being unusable. So, I mean, that's kind of what I think about.
Mahalo, that's actually a perfect segue into the next question. All of the things that he has mentioned, the impacts on the environment, all of that contributes to the disasters that we've been experiencing. So in the cases of both wildfires and the flooding that have impacted our islands, what do you see as the connection between all of these disasters and the health of our aina? What is that connection, first part? And second, what must we do in Hawaii to prevent situations like that from happening again?
Okay. So everything is connected. Whatever we do to aina, we do to ourselves. And so we are living the impacts of systems that, extractive systems. like the sugar plantations, that diverted streams dry. And so having these types of large corporate ownerships whose goal wasn't collective abundance, it was self-enrichment at the expense of everyone else, including Aina. That mentality of everything for themselves and everyone else can kick rocks will not lead us to abundance, right? And so I think like for the systems that Lahaina had in place and other places where ahupua'a management of Aina, recognizing everything is connected, maka, makai, levelani, kaiho, honu, and then ensuring abundance of all realms. That's what we're suffering now. And that's what led to the disasters. The disconnection from Aina, the systems that extract all vai and resources from Aina for profit, often offshore profit, and not maintaining or cultivating systems for everyone to thrive, for Aina as our eldest ancestor, to keep waters in the stream. I've had people testify before us at the council chamber saying, look at all the water running from the stream into the ocean, it's just wasting. Yeah, no, it's for real. Like there are people who don't understand hydrology and ecosystems, and they look at the stream for human use and not understanding how drying, diverting a stream dry, the impacts that it has on, drying out the Aina, not, drying out the muliwai, and then, you end up with less types of fish and less fish overall. And then the impact that it has on the limu and the aquifer, right? So you're drying out the land and dried out and denuded soil, like you just have like invasive grass of like other industries, such as the cattle industry that introduced all these really long grasses, right? And so you have like those types of grasses just growing wild, and the types of native vegetation, struggle to grow under these conditions of scarcity. And then that's how you end up with compounding disasters of like long-term droughts, and then rain bombs, and then sedimentation, which affects, like people's houses, and then the nearshore fishery. So now there's less groundwater into the muliwai, and then you have sedimentation, killing the limu and then smothering the coral. So for fires and for the floods, that's what it is. So we just that's what we have to do.
What do you think we need to do to prevent situations like that from happening again?
Yeah. So I think, well, ultimately, the things that we have to do is like vote Paele in. You get people into decision-making positions who understand the relationship and connection of Aina, and that if we continue to extract, then these are the types of disasters that we're gonna face.
I know you.
So,
You see. You remember the question? Yeah.
I think I remember the question. When I was in college up in Oahu, as at UH, we got to visit the Halawa Aquifer. You can go down the tunnel and check out, that water that they got down there. Was pretty nice. But what would stick out the most to me when we was there, the guy that was giving us a tour was like, this, and Halawa, that area is not like our mountains is high like this. Our mountains are a lot higher, but he said, when that rain up above Halawa hit that mountain, it takes 30 years for it to precipitate down into the aquifer before it's ready to use, to be pumped back up. And so I was like, wow. And then now I'm looking at our mountains, which is like twice the size, so I can easily say 50, 60 years, when that cloud on that mountain letting go that dew, I'll be 110 years old before I can drink that water. And I'll still be here, But that went kind of influenced a lot of how I thought about water. When you're pulling water out of the ground faster than that rain can replenish, and especially when we see like global warming and the less rainfall, you get scared. And then you start seeing the data, you get scared. And so, what happened 100 plus years ago? The dewatering of all of Hawaii, not just the west side here, but so the effects that we see now of what the plantation did 100, 130 years ago is being felt today. Because when they was extracted, they wasn't worried about the data or how much water we have. They pulling and they trying to produce profits, right? And so they divert the streams. We get well systems on here. It's like feats of engineering and how they was able to pull water out of these mountains. And we got to walk through some of the tunnels. It's crazy. Like it's not like a well went straight down. The well was sideways. And when you go through the mountain, they're cutting through these dike systems, and all of a sudden, every time you cut through this dike system, water falls from the ceiling. And then they catch this water in the tunnel, and it can run back out towards the stream, into a diversion, and out into the fields, into the reservoirs. And so I was like, that was pretty crazy. Then I found out the information that the streams are the superchargers of our aquifers. So when water running down the stream, for every foot of stream, let's say Kahoma is about 6 miles long, I forget how much, 5,000 something feet in a mile, and we got 6 miles. Every foot of stream absorbs almost 1,000 gallons of water. And it's because it's lower and closer to the aquifer, it supercharges the aquifer a lot better than the rain can. And so there's gaining reaches of the streams, and they call it losing reaches. It's not really losing. Losing means you're losing water in the stream, so you're getting less water, but it's actually what I call recharging areas of the stream. Well, once that water starts coming down the stream and you start losing in the volume, it's actually going down into the ground and refilling our aquifers. And so it's not losing reaches, but I like to say recharging reaches. And it's those reaches that supercharge the water that's closer to the ocean side. And what I learned was, for every foot that our aquifer goes down, ocean recedes or penetrates inland 40 feet. And so, I think it was West Maui land, dug a well not too far from the base of the mountains, and they hit some water. And so, what does that mean? What is that telling you? So, we restored every single stream in West Maui except for Honoko'ai, which is on the list, but we got stuck with COVID and the fire, but that's gonna happen. We fought for designation to protect our aquifers so that we manage them in a way that will make sure that just make sure we get water for the future, but that we increase the volume of water that's in our aquifers for our future generations. And the people we had to fight was all the old plantation companies, Maui Land and Pine, Kanapali Land, West Maui Land Company, and guess who else? The County of Maui. They fought against us. Not the council, they was for us. The mayor was like sending down the director saying, we don't want designation, it's no good. And that the triggers that we using to trigger the designation wasn't supposed to cause the triggers. So what we see now with what's his name? Aaron from SeaWorld. He does a lot of the studies. He goes up into the mountains and he checks the rain gauges and he talks to the people who drawing water out of the wells and get whatever information he can. And he's trying to figure out what's happening with our aquifers. And it's too early yet to really kind of tell. It's kind of stabilizing a little bit, but we want to see if it's going to start heading back uphill like the sliding scale. It's going to start heading back uphill. Well, we through management, we increasing the volume of water, but there's a situation though. 23% of our waters was controlled by the county or the public sector. 77% was controlled by the private entities. So it had a big imbalance of who controls the water resources, right? What I don't understand is, for I don't know how many years now we've been in water shortage through winter and through summer, we facing water shortages, and you face possible fines if you use too much water and whatnot. And then I look at the golf course using 1.5 to 2 million gallons of water a day. And when you look at the whole Launipoka sector, well, Launipoka is a fictitious area that includes Launipoka, Lahaina, and areas as an aquifer sector. That area has a total sustainable yield of about 7 million gallons. I think we're using about 5 million gallons to supply all of Lahaina area. Now, if a golf course is using 1.5 to 2 million gallons, how much people can that feed? So we gotta bully some things over. And if you guys love golf, I'm sorry, but maybe we can have like sand golf courses. So one big sand trap. Then you really gotta be good. Maybe the green can have grass. But so when we're on this journey and we fought and we started winning all these victories, people from the other islands are saying, "Wait, what you guys doing? Come over." And so now we say flying to all over the state and we say giving this, not speeches, what you call this? Like this panel discussion and stuff like that, asking like, what you guys did, how you guys did this, what happened? And what I found out for sure was, the only difference between us and a lot of places is the community here is so tight. The community here is so tight that when the commission came to Maui right after the fire to have that meeting with us, and they held them in Kahului, I said, make sure you get on a venue that is big enough. Because how much people in shop? Like 400-500 people.
Or something.
And the room could hold like 80. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we asked for a bigger venue, they gave us even smaller.
Oh.
Yeah, and so, and it's showing that our community was ready for a fight, because we knew these things before the fire, but when you're not really put in the situation, and then it happens, all of a sudden you wake up. And so, what we gotta do is the things that we've been doing, but like during the fire, when West Maui Land sent their letter to Don Chang and then CCing the governor about the situation of Kaleo not releasing water, and that's why Lahaina burned down. And then the governor gutted the whole state water code with his emergency proclamation. He did that based on what a private developer who was known for breaking the law, diverting water that he's not supposed to have diverted, had to pay $500,000 fines for what he did. And they took his word as, that's the truth. And that truth went all around the world. And the first thing we talked about is we gotta change the narrative and bring the narrative back to what we know is the truth. And once the narrative got out is how to pull back. But we was able to pull it back, put the true narrative out there, and the governor had to retract, right? So, what I tell people is, we had these protections in place. The governor went and got them. And was very, because we felt like we had to protect our waters and stuff and our resources. We never know we had to protect the protections. That don't make sense. We had to protect the protections that the state constitution says is pretty much mandatory. Yeah. So we never ever can sleep. We never ever can, just sit back and say, my job is done. We did it, because you don't know. And it's one if you love your place and you care, it's kind of one shitty life to live, always looking over your back, right? You cannot enjoy your life like a normal person. Yeah, we enjoy and we do our things, but while we enjoy, we're looking backwards. See who coming up from behind you. False crack, you're right across the back. So, it's sad that when he was young, he used to follow me around. I get my boy now, he older now, he's like 21. And I'm looking at this, it's like, you guys going to inherit this. You're going to inherit this. Right? And I'm happy he chose to do something about it. I'd rather not he have to do nothing about that because things are protected and we don't got to worry. But because he's here, we're passing on that burden as an inheritance that they got to pick up. And I'm happy he doing it. I look at my boy, I kind of question, oh, the bug, he radical. I don't know if he ever going to be that guy, but at least the cousins. At least the cousins say, but maybe when he get older, I don't know. Oh, yeah, just pay attention, that's what we got to do.
In time. My priorities wasn't there at 21. No, I wanted to share this too. You know, there's a lot of mention of just about the Wai and the aquifer itself and drawing the connection between both fire and flood. When you go outside and you go dump a bucket of water onto some dry dirt, that thing is going to pool and is not going to seep into the ground. It's going to take a long time for that to seep into the ground until the ground opens up, gets wet enough, then you go back and pour in the same spot, it'll penetrate. So when we had those rains right after those funnel lows, our ground was not equipped to absorb the water yet. So we saw all of that runoff. We saw massive, like, there was full rivers coming down all of this over here. And a lot of people think that these are separate issues, but they aren't. Definitely not, right? You get that helps to feed the grasses, the invasive grasses that's on the land. Then we get long periods in between with no rain. And all of these green grasses turn brown, which is now prone to start and fuel and maintain fire and make it way more extreme than it should be, right? So they're all connected. And one of my kumus in high school told me this is, when there's a famine in the land, there's a famine in the sea. He said, if it were rain on the island, should be alright, you can go in the ocean, go fish, go dive, and we're all like, oh yeah, always get fish, they have no water. And he said, no, that's not the case. Most major reef structures are centered around a freshwater source. Yep. They all pull the nutrients out of that water and the dissolved minerals that are broken down over time and makes its way into the ocean. That's the building blocks that the reef uses. But not only that, that brackish water is where you get algae formulating, and they're where they're from because it's safer in there. There's not as many predators. We have fish that do the same thing, like hole, male, ama, and they all, without that connection from land to down to the ocean, we don't have that spawning. That small fish, that limu, and that all of that phytoplankton, the opai, all of that feed the small fish, which feed the bigger fish, which works its way up the food chain. So now we break that discontinuation between the two. We don't have food in both areas, you know. So that's how important it is in that connection between the two. So
that's just on Professor. We talk plenty about water and almost like land is secondary, but it is, but it's not. But what we're trying to say is that if you use a Western concept and look at the value of land that no more water per acre, pennies, yeah. But if you're able to divert this water, bring them across through ditches to these lands and now irrigate these lands, what's the value of that land now, right? At the expense of where the water coming from. So I never like to share on people's dreams and having their dream of owning your own home and whatnot, right? But anybody went to Catalina Island off? I know the paddlers did. Catalina Island, like when I got there, was cool because I got to see. But what stick out was like they only allow a certain amount of homes. They only allow a certain amount of cars on the island because the resources that they get is finite. And only water that they get is based on whatever rain they got that year, and it is collected in the reservoir, and that's it. So they cannot expand on that. I think the island is about as big as Kahul of it. It's kind of interesting because they told me, we were so like, when you have a kid and the kid is born, you sign them up on a list to get on car. Because hopefully by the time the kid is 18, 19, 20, people die, and so you get on spot to get on car. Other than that, everybody driving golf carts. Everybody driving golf carts around there. So it's like, how come they allowed to live on lifestyle based on what they can handle environmentally, yeah, right? And it wasn't so much about the economic part. They get on golf carts, but it's like money ni kain. You know what I mean? They're not more really resorts. They get small kain, but a lot of the homes is like tight and close and small, and they only get what they get, and that's it. I think we living with the false idea that because we live on islands as big as this, and we can see clouds and rains coming down every day, that we get this continental ideology that our resources is not finite, and we get more than we have. And we live in on continental ideology where our resources is vast. And that's a big problem. And I remember Nainoa Thompson saying, who is better to live on this planet Earth but island people? All people around the planet who live on islands understand how finite the resources are. And what is Earth but an island in the universe? We cannot. Well, let's go to the moon then, right? It's not like that. And so, it's kind of like a fear, but more, not a fear, but an understanding that we gotta live in a way where we can stay here. And not, overburden our resources to where one day we gotta go, right? So, that's kind of like how I see it.
Mahalo. We're getting close to time. We have about 15 more minutes, so I'm going to try to get through some of these questions and hopefully leave some time if folks have some questions yourselves. This question is for Keani, specifically. You can touch on it too if you like. But with that concept of policy influencing the policing of an area determined strictly upon availability of resources, that policy is crucial. But we're not seeing that concurrently across all places. It's all different. So for you, Keani, when it comes to protecting our Aina and communities, how do you see both sides of the current political system falling short? And where do Democrats and Republicans each potentially miss that mark?
First one, the political system is called.
Yeah, how does the current political system, how is it falling short?
Okay. All right. I think where we're falling short in protecting Aina and communities. Okay, so Kekai talked about carrying capacity, basically. Like what the resources and the systems can handle. And while we think about continental resources being vast, they're learning real quick that it's not as vast as they had anticipated. And just because they measured the Colorado River in the wettest time of the year ever in history, that the anticipation of there being that volume of water would always be there. So part of the Vai, the story that Kekai shared about growing up not seeing that was Enenwe, yeah, schools of Enenwe. Folks in decision-making power often sees systems that they know, and that's what's normal. There's a lack of vision, I think, in both parties and those that are in elected office right now, to see what is not there and could be. Like in areas that never have in this generation or the generation before us. To understand the mo'olelo of our home, of this place, to understand our future is in our past. And that abundance can be our future if we understand that vision and we commit ourselves to it, because it takes time. Just as it took 7 years to get water to connect Moka to Makai, it takes time and commitment and people to fight the fight, like year after year after year. And it can be painful, and it can be a burden. But I think one of the things in growing up I heard often was, we need to do this work now so that our next generations don't have to. And that's a misleading messaging to our next generation. Because no matter what, they're going to have to fight for what they love. Because there's always going to be someone that wants to profit off of that. So we always have to lock arms and prepare our next generation to fight the same fight. Because it's the same fight that the last generations fought, and it's going to continue. And so I think, like, since time is coming to a close, I'll just share a little bit about Molokai. So it's been over a decade, but we're working on acquiring a third of our island, on the 55,000 acres held by Molokai Ranch. And so many folks see it as a, pie in the sky kind of idea, but it's not, and it's gonna happen. And I'm not just hoping it's gonna happen, we're working toward that vision, and we're gonna make it happen. The council is already committed to $30 million to seeing this happen. And we have our organization, the Multi-Heritage Trust, preparing for us to receive this aina. And we know that this is just the first step when you get kuleana. So we're going to get the palapala, the title of the 55,000 acres. And then the real work happens, right? Thankfully, Google Leisure, Singapore-based Hong Kong company, made a very low bar. Like, it's just total abuse of our aina. And so anything better than that, like it will be better. And I think where, those in office, if they see, if they think, no, the Kahoma, river is never going to be restored, and then they don't invest the time, energy, and resources that they have access to, then yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not going to happen if you don't believe it's going to happen. You have to believe, and then you have to work toward it every day. So I think folks that often get into office will hear from a lot of different people, and I can attest to that. There was one person who, he came from a good place, and he testified, and he said, I have a great idea to prevent fires from burning people's houses down. We're going to plant cactuses. The cactus doesn't burn. And so, it's like, it's very narrow thinking of just preventing fire. It's kind of like the introduction of mongoose, ta'ape, to'au, roy, all these things that was supposed to solve the problem and then created a new problem. So, but when you understand the systems and how aina works in relationship, as Paele explained, all the minerals flowing down from the river, from the underground systems, bringing the minerals to the muliwai to feed the fish, to feed the limu, and how all of that connection creates life. Then you won't think of cactuses as being the answer to the problem, because you understand that restoring the streams, removing the diversions, and creating more water is the answer, not planting cactuses. And so, I don't know if you're gonna get to this question, but and oftentimes, I know, but you sent me all the questions, so I knew that there was this other question that I was like holding out on. About indigenous-led efforts, and like,
That's the next question.
okay, then I'll stop there. I'll hand it over to Kekai.
No, actually, I mean, that was, unless you have some stuff to say
Yeah.
before that, yeah, okay.
I think like when it comes to government, and we think about if both sides of the party, if they lack the vision or not have the vision, sometimes, many times, what I found out was they close the eyes to that vision. They tend to ignore you. They want to be. It's an uncomfortable place to be put into a situation where you have the community who is just coming with hundreds of people and at your throat and saying, you guys gotta do what is right. And some of them actually like turn away or even start playing with their phone. There was one commission meeting that I had the lawyers draw me up something to speak about because I was working and I just couldn't focus on getting what I need to get up, so they draw me up something. So when I was watching on Zoom as the meeting was going, one of the commissioners on the water commission said, he was talking about how the salinity levels on the west side is climbing to a point where it doesn't meet federal standards, that it is actually considered toxic. And so one of the commissioners made a joke, at least you guys, chlorides is like salt water, right? So pretty much salt. So he made a joke like, at least you guys don't need salt your food anymore. And I was like, wow, what reality you live in? So everything that the lawyers gave me that I should be speaking about went out the window. And the local boy came out. And I was like, bruh, we here live in this situation that we fear, and it's happening now. And because you're not in the reality that we live in, you're able to make this joke like, you don't need salt your food because the water all salty. Like, that one freaked me out. And then I realized it was like, some of these guys don't really care, other than whoever they're supposed to be supporting and the vision that they see. And if you come in, a lot of them suffer from cognitive dissonance, if you guys understand what that means. You know what I mean? It's like, you grow up learning your values and morals from your father, and one day somebody introduced new information that challenged that, right? And all of a sudden, this new information that is studied and factual actually proves that maybe what your father taught you was wrong. You know how to let go of that is painful and uncomfortable. But if you open enough to say, I accept this information because I see my father was mistaken. Because for me, my father never wrong. Ever. Right? But there was times where it was a little bit skewed, the stuff he said. And so I had to look at this. So I tell my father, hey, look at this. He's saying this. He's like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So I let him, he older now, I let him enjoy that. I don't like put him in that stress of having to deal with this. And so I was like, okay. I think kind of painful to accept, but I gotta accept them. And many people have that capacity because it's too uncomfortable to allow that to happen. And doesn't mean I don't love my father any less, right? But it strengthens me to give my boy, pass on what my father gave me, and pass on to my boy even more. Because every consecutive generation is supposed to be better than the last, right? So if I'm comfortable with these new facts, and I don't take them in, I'm not helping the next generation. So, kind of like that.
Oh, you guys have kept this pair before. I had it for the first time here in New York, and that thing was super on. And we don't need no cactus.
Over here it's called
Panini.
Okay. I gotta go try that then.
Tastes good though.
Okay, so I think we have time for one more question. Might go over time a little bit. But we want to take advantage while we have these two hammers right here in the room with us. So I've been victim to this multiple times now. There are a lot of people out there who only get a piece of myself, of what I am and who I represent and how I carry myself. And I've been getting this a lot is, oh, he's only for the Hawaiians. So with that in mind, the two of you, some people do say that indigenous-led land and water advocacy only serves our Hawaii people. How do you respond to that? And can you give an example or examples of how protecting aina and water the Hawaiian way actually creates a better outcome for the entire community?
So, kanaka, aloha aina. What we're going to fight for is aina. And everyone that lives here needs aina to be healthy and thriving. So if Kanaka is going to fight for aina and everyone benefits from a healthy, thriving aina, then everyone benefits from the work that Kanaka do, that aloha aina do. The indigenous people of any place have been there for centuries, and there's that connection. Our culture is a place-based culture, and so the wisdom that we've gained, not just knowledge, wisdom that we've gained over centuries are the accumulation of trials and errors over centuries. And so we, as a people of this place, know what worked and what have been tried and what doesn't work. And so you have folks that may come and have like ideas of what works in other places, and perhaps adapting, it could work here, but sometimes it doesn't work, and then it ends up being a bigger problem that we then have to clean up and fix. I think that what the story of Kahoma shows is, so you have, the ohana that grew up with having streams feeding the lo'i, and then the diversions drying it out. What happens, as was explained, is there's less water recharging the aquifer, and everyone needs water for life. By restoring the streams, we are maximizing aquifer recharge again. And everyone benefits from more water in the aquifer, from more water in the streams. I think for us as indigenous people here, as was shown in all the disasters, when our communities respond, we don't just help other Kanaka, we help everybody. And so, that's the mentality. If you hear, then we're going to help you. And so I think that those that try to message that, like Hawaiian elected officials or candidates only serve Hawaiians, they're just projecting their own attitudes toward how they approach politics, is that they only going to help their own people. So these people must be only help those people. And so it's also a distraction. There's so many distractions in politics. So it's really important that we as leaders in the community stay focused on what needs to be done, and continue to build solidarity in the community to get what needs to be done.
And yes, we have another 5-ish minutes.
I won't borrow this from one of my friends, Molokai, because I hit on tattoo, and they said 100% Hawaiian, 100% Korean, and then 100% Hale, which is, I was like, how do you treat 100%? He said, because the Hawaiian in me is 100%, the Hale in me is 100%, and the Korean in me is 100%. I was like, that makes sense. And just so happened, that's me. My mom is from California, you know? So, I'm 100% Korean, 100% Hawaiian, 100% Haole. So, and you know, like, you know, during the kingdom time, never had just had Hawaiians. Had all kind of multi-ethnic groups, and everybody would play a big role in making the kingdom a success. We never stay home and say, we don't like all say that because the world has nothing for offer. Our kingsmen sent people all over the world. It was probably the most widespread people at the time, all over the world. He said, go there, go find out what's good and what we can use. Bring them home so we can use them. For elevate our living style, our kingdom, right? So they wasn't afraid of new things that wasn't from here. When I was going to school, I had this Samoan guy, he was my good friend. He told me, bro, you know when the missionaries came to Samoa, they was going to try to make the Samoans Christians. He said, no, we're not. No, we will make the church Samoan. And I was like, oh, that's so like I heard somebody say if Kalakaua was here right now, he would have on cell phone. I think Kalakaua said that he would have on cell phone. Wasn't afraid of things new and they're not from here in technology, but if it can better our situation, right? Why not? Right? You even read a lot of the history when overthrow was happening, before things was happening, a lot of Hollywood was saying, hey, arrest these guys now. Go get them now. Throw them in jail, kill them, whatever you get. Because this is, and you know, the queen said, you know, let's just do them another way. But so it wasn't just like, oh, we was on our own and everybody else was the enemy. It wasn't even like that. And so that's a lot of times a lot of Hawaiians suffer from looking at everybody as being the enemy. And if you look good enough, these people really, yeah, they can be on one creative part of rebuilding what we get and what we lost. So take them in. Yeah? When I grew up, with my mother, I grew up and my cousins, Paele, you know my cousins, they're kind of different. But they should tell me, hey, mother, Haole, or you, Haole, and they should pick on me because I come from the younger part of our family. And me, I used to get all mad, but I was too small for doing anything. But they never know I was going to grow up for 46th Street. And I said, hey, bro, remember when you should call me this kind of stuff? Oh, bro, young kid stuff. Right? But I see some of them today, when go from calling me names to now they say, bro, I watch you on your Facebook stuff, right on, bro. I was like, but you was one of the very ones, but he told me, hey, right on, bro. But somebody gotta fight for people, this and that. I was like, so you know what? It was one flip on how if I state the cost, the people that used to say this kind of shit about me wouldn't change. And they was able to foresee, oh, you know what? We was wrong. Right? And for accept that, it's kind of how to, so I give them credit for that. And then, what I think too, like my father, when I came back from school, and you know, oh, he's so nerd, he do all kind of stuff. I say, hey, bro, you know, I learned in school, they call it sculpture. And my father tell me, what is that? Culture, you big nerd, you die in the same place. This is what we had to do. Too simple, he's thinking. That's just what we had to do. And I was like, man, that's why after the fire, you know, I was scared. We're gonna catch fish, so he said, so in his nets. I was like, I didn't be like that. I like know that what I know and what I was taught going to solidify me and make me that rock to where when this kind of stuff happen, I don't fear. Because I'm still scared sometimes, you know what I mean? So, and then with the young D, Paele folks, Lazo folks, at one point I was looking around the young generation, I was like, this is it? Are we last? There's nobody coming up after us? Until they started stepping up. And I was like, bruh, these guys can take them even farther. They get the understanding of the video and stuff like that, where they can reach farther. And they know how to narrate and put things together that make what we're saying, magnify them even stronger. The problem with a lot of the older guys, I know what the problem. A lot of the older guys, they don't know how to let go of, once you get into this position where you get some authority and power, and you get the young coming up, they don't like step back. And I told Paele this plenty times, that it's not hard for me to step back when I know I get people like him and the folks that's coming through for fun. Dee used to send me that video that he did, and I was watching him last night. Good timing, bro. I was watching him last night about like 12 o'clock at night, and he was his first time testifying, right, at the Water Commission. And he was kind of like blaming himself that he wasn't involved, you know, prior to this, but he's here now, and he kind of take blame for the fire because he wasn't involved. And just, what, a few months ago, these two guys are speaking at the UN.
Yeah.
I was like, how did it even happen from wheels up in a mountain, driving through some, on the mules,
Yeah.
getting all dirty, talking about, you know, Lahaina, and then next thing you know, these guys they wearing suits. And they say at the UN, speaking on behalf of all of us here.
Yo.
I'm not saying that I can't stop and relax, but I'm not worried. I'm gonna follow these guys.
Yeah.
And so I tell a lot of other guys, you guys still important, believe me, but make room for these guys. You know, sometimes we have to help them along. Sometimes, a lot of times they're gonna have to help us along because they just can't stop, you don't understand. The video and stuff like that, but social media, whatever. But hey, for me, if I put my faith in somebody, I gotta know. I gotta hear what they get for say. And a lot of times they gotta prove to me that what they say is what they're going to do. I want to be a simple guy too. Because I'm not as simple as my father, but with these folks, these guys, I can't wipe my hand and say, go for it, man. No problem. No problem at all. I'm still only 53, I'm still young yet though.
We're not out yet.
Huh?
We're not out yet.
No, I'm not out. I still be
Not as young as we used to be.
Hey, you know, it's funny too, because this guy was around me from when he was small kid. How old you know? 31. I think it was like 2 years ago. He must have been, what, 29, 30. You see, no, wow. I said, no, he only a young boy yet. And I forget, he said almost 30 already. I was like, I gotta stop calling him young boy, but I don't think that's good. So I said, a younger generation. Thank you.
I think that's a really good note to close on, just the succession planning. And I just want to recognize Nene Kaneali'i in the audience today. She's from Molokai, and part of our succession planning. So I look forward to all the good things that she'll be doing as an Aloha Aina as well. I think we'll be, there's a bunch of us on the council that's going to be terming out soon. We instituted term limits forever, 10 years, how you can never come back to the council again. And so we're the only council that has term limits, and I'm hoping that, I know some people don't care for term limits because people should have the right to vote for whoever they want to, but it doesn't acknowledge or recognize the reality of the political system, the elections that we are currently in, which is oftentimes whoever gets the most money and whoever can infuse that money into campaigns end up winning. And so I'm hoping that for the new folks that end up going to the legislature, we can institute term limits there as well. I know it's a double-edged sword, because I'll be out and I will never be able to go back again, but that pushes us on the council to build capacity within the next generation, to ensure that the policies that we passed, continue on. The systems that we designed to help our people and, improve our Aina will continue on past our time on the council. So mahalo Paele for running and for putting on this banner today.
Tomorrow is going to be powerless for this next.
What about you?
I'm trying to make sure someone replaces it.
I think you folks can probably hear me online based on this microphone close by. But I just wanted to share, there's a couple, I'm getting like a, we need to go to the candidates. And so I just wanted to share, we have a comment, very good panel. Everything you spoke about is the same in East Maui with A and B, EMI, and now Mahi Pono. We've been battling in court for years in all of Hawaii. So just a huge thank you for that. And just,
And the Vai'eha.
yeah. And then I have a question, which I think I kind of want to save for the candidates. It's coalition building is the center of political success. We need people who understand communication and advertising and academics, who have expertise, who understand the failure of the attitude of elitism. Are you reaching out to such people? Well, to me, that feels like a good candidate question. What do you guys think? Yeah. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys so much, and I'm awkwardly over here, so if you wouldn't mind.
Welcome to the Green Party. Yeah, well, just want to mahalo the two of you, and just for me to share, they have been, like I said from the beginning, extremely influential in how I move, how I choose to represent, how I choose to lead, and even just back to that question of like, we all, I can say confidently that each one of us has fought for something from a Hawaiian lens and point of view. And when we fight for Hawaii, we fight for Hawaiians, that means we're fighting for Hawaii. We're not fighting for a specific ethnic background. We're not fighting for a specific people. Because putting the water back in the stream don't put money in my pocket. Replanting native forests up Mauka don't put money in my pocket either. So I'm not racist, I'm placist. Yeah? If you're not of this place, then you don't belong here. If you live your life and you contribute to this place or to the problem, my question is this: will you stay to die with the rest of us? If you ruin this place beyond recognition to the point where you can no longer survive here, will you stay? Or will you pick up and leave and try to take your money and make your money someplace else? And your answer to that question will tell me if you're really part of this place or if you're not. Yeah? If you as a family contributed to try and make this place better and had no other choice but to leave because you got kids and you want them to be able to grow up, that's different. But if you come here with the mentality and this is your second, third home and you contribute to the problem and you kill this place for all of us gotta suffer and you're not gonna stay but you're gonna leave, you don't belong here. Yeah? And I believe that's why I am part of this Green Party also, because it helps me to be who I am and not have to put myself in that box. We believe that just from the statement, how we started that day, mahalo all of you guys, they worked on that before I was even part of that, and then went to the UN and been able to share it in that place. Yeah. But without the foundation that these two have created for us to step into, there would be no stage for us to stand on. So I mahalo you guys. One more round of applause for them. But yes, with that, I'm gonna pass it back off to Kapono. Take us away. Mahalo. Love you guys.
Imo kahana.
We also have you guys are already already green and purple.
Thank you so much.